Welcome to Cornering the Market, powered by Alt Data Analytics. We're going to look at two players currently in the NBA Finals and bring you the data of their graded trading card market. Those two players are Jayson Tatum, leading the Celtics, and Luka Doncic, leading the Mavericks. Jayson Tatum has had a 1.7% increase in trade volume over the last 30 days. The overall transaction volume has been $679,000, and his three top sales, there was a 17-18 BGS 9.5 NTRPA Emerald number to 5, which sold on Alt for $84,083. There's a 2017 checkerboard BGS 9.5 1 of 1, and there's a 2017 True NTRPA BGS 9.5 numbered out of 99. So looking at the data right now and diving a bit into the market statistics, Matt, tell me how you're thinking about Tatum right now and forecast for me what you think could happen and potentially what should happen if someone out there is holding on to a key Tatum card.
You will notice, the volume you mentioned is only up 1.7% in the last 30 days, which to me is an indicator that maybe people think the Celtics are going to go out and win, right? Usually when something happens to a player and we get a shock to the positive side, everything comes to market. With Tatum, there's not as much flood to the market, and I think that's a testament to where his market's at. But then you went into some of the bigger sales, and we are seeing some of his quote-unquote grail cards coming to market, right? Like the logo patch Emerald NT. I would consider that a Tatum grail, the 101 checkerboard optic. These cards are getting big numbers, 85,000 for the Emerald NT. So I think what we're seeing is the people who are holding the Tatum grails, they're kind of cashing in, they're taking their money, but the people with the Prism color or the Prism silvers or the optic color, those cards aren't necessarily flooding. A lot of people are, I would assume, are still seeing those as undervalued compared to the next name we'll get into, Luka Doncic, when we compare their market caps. The high-end people seem to be cashing in their chips with some amazing sales, but the lower-end stuff isn't coming to market. And I think if the Celtics are able to push through, we will see that supply shoot up stronger than it's been in the last 30 days. And the gap between Luka and Tatum is definitely hanging in the balance with this NBA Finals. And it's really interesting to watch here.
Good insight on that. So I have a couple questions and follow-up.
Yeah.
We know in this market the timing is sometimes everything. The NBA Finals is a critical moment for timing. If you were holding on to an NT RPA or a gold Kaboom or a gold Prism per se, I'm just talking about key copies of Jayson Tatum, would you play the market now based upon the speculation and performance and get his cards to market now, or would you hold them until after the NBA Finals are over to see if he's the victor? And why and why not?
Two different cards you asked about, right? The gold Kaboom versus the NTRPA. I'll start first with the NTRPA. If I was holding a Tatum NTRPA 9.5 out of 99, for me, it would be a hold. There's been no price appreciation to market yet. They've traded between a range of 17 and 22,000 patch dependent for the last 90 days.
And they transact all the time, to an extent.
They transact all the time.
Regularly. Regularly is probably the word. They transact regularly.
It's a high pop gem mint card. I believe the pop's in the 60s for his 9.5. So I would wait and see price appreciation there first. And I think if they do win, we could finally see that. The card needs to break through that 22K resistance level. With the gold Kaboom, I'd probably take it to market, right? It hasn't shown up in a while.
It's scarce.
That seems to be what we're seeing in the market, is those cards that aren't showing up often. Those are the ones that can set those record sales, push up, and just see amazing realized prices. So those two, I'd play them a little differently.
Let's talk about Tatum in total right now. So Tatum is 26 years old. He's got a pretty solid team around him right now. They're performing well. Again, this series is far from over. Is he someone that you see the market responding to, since it's taken a while for him to get, although they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals many times.
Yeah.
He's in the finals. If he doesn't win this finals, what do you see happening to his market?
People aren't selling, which tells me Tatum's cards came out in 2017. They've transacted quite a bit in those, 7 years? And we probably have put a lot of nice Tatums into final owners collections, right? If he were to lose, I don't think there would be a ton that come to market. I think people are okay holding Tatum at this point. That's why we're not seeing a ton of supply, only up 1.7% in the last 30 days. So I don't expect a ton of downside movement with a Tatum loss. I think people have already kind of baked in that they consider Tatum a quote unquote choker, right? They kind of baked that in. But if he becomes the face of the modern day Celtics, it's a huge market, legendary franchise. I do see some price appreciation there. I'm not saying it's going to go nuclear like we saw with an Anthony Edwards, right, where he completely blew everyone out of the water. But I do think price appreciation with a win, limited price downside with a loss with Tatum.
Now let's talk about Luka Doncic.
Okay. So with Luka, obviously everyone's favorite player in the hobby, we're seeing very similar trends to Tatum, right? But we are seeing 7,000 trades in the last 30 days compared to Tatum's 2,000. Luka has $2 million in trade value across his 7,000 trades. Compared that to Tatum's 670,000, so almost 3 times as much trade volume on Luka versus Tatum. Luka's top sales in the last 2 weeks is only 23.2K, which was a blue ice with the NBA Black Diamond that traded almost twice as much as the last comp. Compared out to Tatum's top sale in the last 30 days was the Emerald BGS 9.5 for 86,000. Following up on that blue ice that sold on June 6th for 23.4K, we have a flawless Star Swatch PSA 9 and then an Orange Prism PSA 10, which is comparable to the blue ice. That sold for 19.2K. So we're seeing a ton more trade volume on Luka, but the top Luka cards not really coming to market, with a blue ice being the best card that's the market has seen in the past 2 weeks. How do you feel about Luka's market, right? We're not seeing a ton of increased trade volume. We're not really seeing the Luka Grails come to market. Where do you stand with that?
Luka Doncic's market is one of the most interesting things to look at in this space. And so Luka's market exploded as the hobby exploded.
Right.
Many of his most important key cards, true NT RPAs, flawless RPAs, his most important key cards were purchased at really high print prices throughout 2020, 2021, and 2022. And so what I believe the data is telling us, and what I see in the market, is that people are holding on to those cards. One, because they bought them at a really high print price. Number two is they're waiting for a market or a market event to further develop Luka, so they can exit through those cards potentially and get them in the hands of new collectors or investors at a more appropriate market price. So you don't see the true NT RPAs trade that often. And I don't think you're going to unless you see Luka win a championship. If he wins a championship, he's at 25 years of age. I mean, he's one of the most enjoyable players to watch on the floor. I think that you could see several of those copies trade and transact. And I think you'll see a few come to market via auction because there'll be more demand for Luka Doncic at that point. His market cap is really what stands out here. I mean, his market cap is essentially what?
120 million.
120 million. So we're looking at almost 4x that of Jayson Tatum. And it goes back to my earlier point, is that he was purchased at a really strong market price. And so there needs to be some sort of market event that takes place for his higher end cards to start transacting and moving through the market into other hands. I think if I was holding Luka Doncic right now, if I was holding a true NT RPA, I would wait till post finals. Again, at 25 years of age, the guy's amazing. To watch on the floor, that step back he had on Porzingis was just absolutely a thing of beauty. I think that people really appreciate and like that aspect of it, but they want to buy into these cards at a print price that's going to be more appropriate and more aligned with today's current market metrics.
Oh, totally agree. It's a really good point. So let's say, pose the question, you had a Luka Blue Ice PSA 10 and you saw that comp at the highest sale at 23.4K. Are you a holder or a seller at the current mid-level Luka prices?
Great question. It depends on a couple things. The first thing is, what is my portfolio made up of? Is that one of my key cards in my portfolio? And do I love Luka Doncic? Do I believe in that card? It's almost a 2.5 multiple from the last sale. So I might chase it, but if it's one of the key cards in my portfolio and I like Luka and I believe he's going to win a championship, that could also change my position into holding the card. If Luka doesn't win the championship, based upon what I've seen this year and the growth of his game and just how I enjoy watching him on the court, I'm absolutely a buyer of Luka Doncic cards. I'm still buying Luka, and I'm probably buying Luka pretty heavy post-finals. And I think you're seeing the same thing right now with someone that isn't on our agenda, but Anthony Edwards.
Right.
People saw what Anthony Edwards did throughout the playoffs. They look at his age at 22 years of age, and they think, wow, this guy is amazing. So for me, that would be my play with Luka Doncic. That would not be my play with Jayson Tatum. I would see Jayson Tatum completely opposite. At 26 years of age, if you lose the NBA Finals, I don't see a lot more upside for Tatum.
Yeah, I would agree to an extent, but when you look at the market caps at 5x, right? I'm looking at that and I say, okay, Tatum has room to grow. Is 5x warranted? Tatum has 0 rings. Luka has 0 rings. Someone will get a ring here. Tatum is on a more historic franchise, right? They have a more legacy than Luka's Mavs, right? Of course, Luka, we both agree, is a superior player, but is the 5x market cap warranted in the two players?
Well, I think I think Luka's market cap is a casualty of the boom of the market. Okay, so I think that if they both came out during the same market cycle, same draft class, I do believe that Luka would be slightly higher because he's got some intangibles people really like. But when you look at the market cap, again, it correlates with the boom of his hobby in general. So it's somewhat of a casualty of that. So I hear you and I align with you on that. I still think Luka's market cap would be higher if they came out in the same draft class. So Matt, who are you picking to win the NBA Finals?
I mean, Celtics, dude. Like, they're minus 420 in Vegas right now. Great number. I would hammer that. Celtics, the luck of the Celtics. How about you, Justin?
You know, based upon what I saw last night, it's tough to bet against the Celtics, but Luka, I mean, the dude's just built different. I've never seen a player that goes into halftime, has a cheeseburger, and comes back out and plays even better. Like, the more out of shape that guy gets, the better he performs. That's the peak male form right there. That's all I can say. And I believe in Luka. I believe in his cards. And I would absolutely put my money on the Mavericks. I think they're going to come back and win this. Who do you think is going to win in the NBA Finals? How are you thinking about selling Luka and Tatum in the market? Let us know in the comments. This is Cornering the Market, powered by Alt Data Analytics.